sabrá nadie, porque tú no lo contarás.
¡Debajo de la cama!
Le he visto. Estaba allí de pie, detrás suyo.
So let's start with your character. What do you have in common with him? He's a very popular guy, but I think there are more things beneath it we're going to see.
Yes, well, I mean, I honestly, before I get into the more complicated areas, I love motorcycles, and I love riding dirt bikes now. I learned how to ride a dirt bike, and so that was really exciting for me to get to do that. I'm always learning new things with new roles, you know, and that's part of... But Lucas and myself are actually quite different. It's just that, one similarity that is not necessarily good similarity, but I'll be honest, is that he tends to not deal with things like in the best way. When he's panicked and stuff, he can be a little. I get a little kind of crazy, and I get too stressed out before I, deal with things the right way. And sometimes I just have to take a breath and relax, and then think. I can be kind of irrational, and Lucas is very irrational, but I mean to a much higher degree. But I think you always kind of, it's more of that Lucas, I have parts of Lucas in me now than Lucas has parts of myself in him.
This is a show about a crime. We have teenagers, that are very popular things, but this show deals with less commercial topic, like teenager homosexuality, for example, and it's your first main character in a TV show.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah, it was very much a challenge, but what was mostly a challenge wasn't the physical of being physical with another boy. I mean, love is love, and I'm not, I've never been prejudiced or scared of that. What was challenging was just going to those very emotionally vulnerable places and dealing with getting in the mind of dealing with seeing 3 people murdered in front of you. I mean, those were the challenging aspects, and then the push and pull between Tyler and I. But when you're a kid, young love often and young attraction feels like life or death. It's like, does he like me? Does he not like me? And and in this, it's literally life or death with these guys. I've said that before, but it's very true. It's like, they see this triple homicide, and they're united actually in so much more than just their sexual orientations, and so I think you'll see in the show that the fact that this boy comes from this outside perspective. I'm talking about Philip actually comes from the city and meets this kid who has more narrow perspective of my character Lucas growing up in a small town. He kind of opens Lucas's eyes to new possibilities and going, it's okay to be yourself, to love yourself and walk in your true self,
So in the first episode, we see a murder, we see the FBI has something to hide, but it maybe you think you know a lot, but the end is a very promising ending. You have a huge cliffhanger.
Well, episode 2 has an even crazier cliffhanger. And it's like every episode gets crazier and crazier, and it's the ritmo. The ritmo de la programa is muy rápido, and so it's there's always important things happening and exciting things.
There are a lot of surprises for us.
Surprises, yes. Twists and turns, yeah. The show's so good, it's like feature movie quality, you know what I mean? But it's just on TV, and most people have to watch it on little screens, but hopefully I have a home theater one day in my house, and I can watch anything I want on the big screen.
And have you watched the original series? Because this is a remake.
Yes, it's our show's a total reimagining of the original. The original is an incredible hit in Norway, and it's a very good show. I've seen the first 2 episodes because Tyler and I, when we were shooting the first 2 episodes of ours, we didn't want to watch that to have that influence us in any kind of way as to where we might copy anything, because it's very different. Our shows, our show goes on 4 episodes longer, and their shows, and but it's still such an honor to use them as the inspiration for our show, and I think it's really, really cool.
Okay, you have a very popular dad. I mean, Bill Paxton is your father, and you've worked with him a lot.
I love working with him, though. I've always wanted to be able to work with him more. I've done some small parts in projects that he was in, but we never got to do scenes together in those, So that's why I don't consider that we didn't really work together. Although my biggest goal is for him to direct me in a feature. He's an even better director than he is an actor, and that's his real passion, actually. He gives me advice all the time, but one thing that he gives me, it's kind of an acting thing, is to remember, because it can be kind of scary being in front of the camera, of course, when you're starting out, and you can be, unfortunately, you can be aware when you're acting of that there's a camera there, and you actually have to kind of become so unaware of that. But still, and so what he would say is, remember that it's, when you get up there in front of the camera, it's not your moment, it's not James's moment, it's the character's moment, it's Lucas's moment to live.
Could you tell us why should we watch the show?
Well, I think that you should watch the show because you've never seen such a powerful love story between two young boys in any TV show ever. And I think the show is also just so much more than that, and it's such a psychological, character-driven thing that has so many fantastic characters that are all dealing with the aftermath of this murder. And so I think you really haven't seen it, It's not, unless you live in Norway, but
We don't.
you don't, so please watch it.
He visto al tío de la cabaña. No podemos contarle esto a nadie. ¿Vale? No lo haré.